The crystal chandelier trembled above the Ashford dining table, casting fractured light across faces twisted with contempt. Sophia Linster felt the mahogany chair dig into her spine as Trevor's voice sliced through the room. Nobody here wants to hear about your pathetic charity ideas. 3 years. 3 years of swallowing words, of shrinking, of disappearing piece by piece. The wine in Trevor's glass caught the light like blood as he stood, towering over her. You'll never be anything without me. I pulled you out of nothing. This name, this house, this life, it's all mine. You're just borrowing it. Sophia's hands trembled in her lap. Around the table, his mother Patricia smirked. His brother Cameron looked away. No one spoke for her. No one ever did. Something cracked inside her chest. Not broke. Cracked open. She stood slowly, her napkin falling to the table like a white flag she refused to raise. Excuse me. Where do you think you're going? Trevor's face flushed red. We're not finished. I am. Her voice barely whispered, but it carried weight. I'm finished with this dinner. This performance. This marriage. Each step toward the door felt like breaking through ice. Cold, terrifying, necessary. You walk out and you have nothing. Trevor shouted behind her. You'll come crawling back within a week. Sophia paused at the doorway. Her hand gripped the frame until her knuckles whitened. I'd rather have nothing and my dignity than everything and lose myself. The door closed softly behind her, but the sound echoed like thunder. Grandma Rose's apartment smelled like dust and memories. Sophia collapsed on the worn couch as dawn crept through the windows. Her phone buzzed relentlessly. 37 missed calls. Text messages cycling between rage and empty apologies. She blocked his number. The silence that followed felt like the first real breath she'd taken in 3 years. 2 days later, she stood in Riverside restaurant wearing a black uniform that felt like armor. The manager, Patricia, no relation to Trevor's ice-cold mother, studied her with sharp eyes. You're overqualified on paper, underqualified in practice. But we're desperate. Can you start tomorrow? Yes. Thank you. That night, Sophia studied the menu in her small apartment. The prices made her stomach turn. Riverside catered to the elite. The same people who'd watched her humiliation and said nothing. She would serve them now. And somehow that felt like power. Her first shift blurred past in a haze of orders and forced smiles. In her uniform, she was invisible. Not diminished. Protected. It was her third night when he walked in. James Caldwell moved through the restaurant like water, quiet and inevitable. Dark hair silvering at the temples. Eyes that actually looked at her, not through her. Good evening. Can I start you with something to drink? Coffee. Black. His voice was warm, nothing like Trevor's sharp edges. And the chef special. As she turned to leave, he spoke again. You're new here. Yes, sir. Third night. You're doing well. Welcome to Riverside. 30 seconds. That's all it was. But for the first time in years, someone had seen her as human. Sophia walked toward the kitchen, unaware that the man at table 7 owned the restaurant. Unaware that he was searching for something he'd lost. Unaware that fate had just set a collision course neither of them could escape. 2 weeks passed like water through cupped hands. James Caldwell came every Tuesday and Thursday, always alone, always at table 7. He never asked for her specifically. But somehow she was always assigned to him. Your coffee, Mr. Caldwell. He looked up from his papers, and something flickered in his dark eyes. Recognition. Not of her face, but of something deeper. James, please. Mr. Caldwell was my father. James then. A smile tugged at his mouth. And you are Sophia. Sophia Linster. Sophia. He repeated it like he was tasting the syllables. That's a strong name. You carry it well. Heat crept up her neck. She wasn't used to compliments that felt real, untethered from manipulation or expectation. Thank you for saying that. I'm not saying it to be kind. I'm saying it because it's true. Before she could respond, a familiar voice shattered the moment like dropped glass. Sophia? Is that really you? Cameron Ashford stood 3 tables away, his smirk as sharp as she remembered. Behind him, a blonde woman clung to his arm, dripping in diamonds that probably cost more than Sophia's yearly salary. The restaurant seemed to hold its breath. Cameron. Her voice stayed level despite her racing heart. My God. Trevor said you'd fallen on hard times, but I didn't believe it. He walked closer, eyes glittering with cruel amusement. A waitress. How the mighty have fallen. James's chair scraped back. He stood slowly, and suddenly the space between them charged with tension. Is there a problem here? Cameron's smirk faltered. Who are you? James Caldwell. I own this restaurant. And you're making my staff uncomfortable. Your staff? Cameron laughed, but it sounded hollow. This is Sophia Ashford. Well, she was my brother's charity case wife. I'm just surprised to see her working. Her name is Sophia, James said quietly. The quietness made it more dangerous. And in my establishment, we treat people with respect. Something you clearly weren't taught. Cameron's face flushed red. Do you know who I am? I know exactly who you are. And I'm asking you to leave. The blonde woman tugged Cameron's arm. Come on, this is embarrassing. As they retreated, Cameron threw one last barb over his shoulder. Trevor's going to love hearing about this. The door closed. Sophia realized her hands were shaking. I'm sorry, she whispered. You didn't have to do that. James turned to her, and his expression softened. Yes, I did. Come with me. He led her through the kitchen to a small office. The door closed, muffling the restaurant noise. In the sudden quiet, Sophia felt the walls she'd built begin to crack. Sit. She sat. He poured 2 glasses of water from a pitcher, handed her one. I know who you are, Sophia. I've known since your first night. Her heart stopped. What? Sophia Linster, married to Trevor Ashford 3 years ago. The wedding was in all the society pages. He sat across from her, his gaze steady. I also know you left him 2 weeks ago. The same night you walked into my restaurant. How? Because I was at that dinner. His voice dropped. Not at your table, but I was there. In the next room. And I heard everything he said to you. Sophia's blood ran cold. You were there? A business dinner with his father. The walls are thin in that estate. James leaned forward. I heard him destroy you. I heard the silence from everyone else. And I watched you walk out with your head high. Tears burned her eyes. Then you know what I am. What people think of me. I know what you're not. You're not weak. You're not nothing. His hand reached across the desk, hovering near hers but not touching. You're the bravest person I've seen in years. Why are you being kind to me? Something dark flickered across his face. Pain, old and deep. Because 5 years ago, someone I loved was in your position. And she didn't walk out. His voice cracked. She stayed. And it killed her. The air between them turned heavy with shared grief. Who was she? My sister. Elena. He pulled back his hand, wrapped it around his water glass. Her husband was charming, successful. Everyone loved him. Behind closed doors, he was a monster. By the time we realized, it was too late. She died in what they called an accident. His jaw tightened. I know it wasn't. James, I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Be alive. Be free. Be exactly what you are right now. His eyes met hers, fierce and wounded. That's why I noticed you, Sophia. Because you did what she couldn't. You saved yourself. The moment stretched between them, fragile and electric. Then Sophia's phone buzzed. Once, twice, 10 times in rapid succession. She looked at the screen. Her blood turned to ice. What is it? It's Trevor. Her voice barely worked. He's outside. He says if I don't come out, he's coming in. James stood. Let him come. You don't understand. He'll make a scene. He'll ruin your restaurant's reputation. He'll hurt anyone who gets in his way. Then he'll meet someone who won't move. Before she could argue, the front door slammed open. Trevor's voice boomed through Riverside like a bomb. Where is she? Where's my wife? James moved toward the office door. Sophia grabbed his arm. Please don't do this. You don't know what he's capable of. He looked at her hand on his arm, then at her face. Something shifted in his expression. Something that looked dangerously close to care. Then it's time he learned what I'm capable of. James walked out of the office. Sophia followed, her heart hammering against her ribs. In the dining room, Trevor stood like a storm made flesh. His expensive suit couldn't hide the rage vibrating through him. When he saw Sophia, his face twisted. There you are. We're leaving. Now. She's not going anywhere, James said calmly. Trevor's eyes snapped to him. And who the hell are you? Someone who respects when a woman says no. This doesn't concern you. It does when you're terrorizing my employee in my restaurant. Trevor laughed, cold and vicious. Employee. Is that what she told you? He turned to Sophia. Did you mention you're still legally my wife? That everything you have is because of me? I took nothing from you, Sophia said quietly. Exactly. Because you are nothing. James stepped forward. The movement was small but transformed the room's energy. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave quietly. If you ever come back here, if you ever contact Sophia again, I'll make it my personal mission to dismantle everything you've built. Your reputation, your business connections, your family standing. Trevor's face went purple. You have no idea who you're threatening. James Caldwell. CEO of Caldwell Holdings. I own this restaurant and 12 others. I sit on the board of 3 companies your father desperately wants partnerships with. James's voice stayed level. Try me. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Trevor's face. Then it hardened into something uglier. You think you're protecting her? Trevor's laugh was sharp. You have no idea what she is. What she's done. Trevor, don't, Sophia whispered. She destroyed my family. My father's company lost millions because of her advice. She convinced him to invest in a startup that collapsed. He trusted her, and she ruined him. Sophia's face drained of color. That's not what happened. Isn't it? You pushed that investment. You insisted it was safe. And when it fell apart, you walked away without a scratch while my family paid the price. James looked at Sophia. Is this true? I gave him research. I showed him the risks. He chose to invest anyway, and when it failed, he needed someone to blame. Her voice shook. I became convenient. Trevor stepped closer. You see? She'll do the same to you. She'll worm her way into your trust, take what she needs, and leave you broken. Get out, James said. But something in his eyes had changed. A shadow of doubt. Sophia saw it, felt it like a blade between her ribs. Trevor smiled, sensing victory. Think about it, Caldwell. Why would a woman like her be working here? She could have gone anywhere. But she chose your restaurant. The most successful one in the city. The one owned by a powerful man. He leaned in. She's using you. Leave. Now. Trevor straightened his jacket. I'll go. But you'll see. They always do. He looked at Sophia one last time. When he figures out what you are, you'll have nowhere left to run. The door closed behind him. The restaurant was silent except for the clink of silverware and the whisper of uncomfortable conversation. James turned to Sophia. Is any of that true? Which part? Did you recommend an investment that failed? Yes. But I also warned them about the risks. I gave them every piece of information I had. They ignored it. Tears burned her throat. When it collapsed, Trevor's father needed a scapegoat. I was the easiest target. Why didn't you defend yourself? To who? His family? Their lawyers? I was nobody. The girl from the wrong side of town who married up. They'd already decided who I was. James ran a hand through his hair. Why my restaurant, Sophia? Out of all the places you could have gone. The question hung between them like a guillotine. I didn't know it was yours until tonight. I needed work. This place was hiring. That's all it was. That's all? She looked at him, and something in her chest broke. You think I'm using you? Just like he said. I don't know what to think. Then I'll make it easy for you. Sophia untied her apron, folded it with shaking hands. I quit. Sophia, wait. No. You wait. She turned to face him fully. I walked away from Trevor because staying meant dying slowly. I took this job because I needed to survive. Not to trap you. Not to use you. Her voice cracked. But if you can't see the difference between survival and manipulation, then maybe Trevor was right about one thing. What's that? I really do have nothing. She walked toward the kitchen. James didn't follow. Outside, rain poured like the sky was grieving. Sophia stood under the awning, watching water flood the streets. A car pulled up. Not Trevor's. This one was sleek, black, expensive. The window rolled down. A woman's face appeared. Beautiful, cold, familiar in a way that made Sophia's stomach turn. Sophia Linster? Who are you? Catherine Caldwell. James's ex-wife. The woman smiled, and it was all teeth. Get in. We need to talk about my husband. Sophia hesitated. Every instinct screamed danger. But rain soaked through her shirt, and Catherine's eyes held something that looked like understanding. She got in. The car smelled like leather and expensive perfume. Catherine pulled away from the curb, windshield wipers beating a steady rhythm. He told you about Elena, didn't he? Sophia's breath caught. How did you know? Because that's what he does. He finds broken women and tries to fix them. Like it'll somehow bring her back. Catherine's voice was matter-of-fact, surgical. I was one of them once. You were married to him. For 3 years. The same amount of time you were with Trevor, interestingly. Catherine glanced at her. We have more in common than you think. Why are you telling me this? Because James is dangerous, Sophia. Not in the way Trevor is. James doesn't break you with cruelty. He breaks you with kindness. With rescue. Until you realize you're not a person to him. You're a penance. The words landed like stones. I don't believe you. Then answer me this. Did he tell you about Elena's husband? About what really happened? He said it was an accident. That he knew it wasn't. Catherine pulled into an empty parking garage, killed the engine. In the dim light, her face looked haunted. Elena's husband was James's business partner, Marcus Thorne. They built Caldwell Holdings together. She turned to face Sophia fully. When Elena died, James didn't just grieve. He destroyed Marcus. Systematically dismantled everything he'd built. Took the company, the assets, the reputation. Left him with nothing. If Marcus killed Elena, he deserved it. That's what James told himself. What he tells everyone. Catherine's voice dropped. But there was never proof, Sophia. The police investigated. They found nothing. It was ruled an accidental fall. But James couldn't accept it. So he decided Marcus was guilty and made him pay. Sophia's mouth went dry. You're saying James ruined an innocent man? I'm saying James sees what he wants to see. Elena was depressed. She'd tried to hurt herself before. But James couldn't live with that truth. So he created a villain. Catherine leaned closer. Just like he's creating one out of Trevor. Trevor is cruel. I was there. I lived it. I'm not defending Trevor. I'm telling you that James doesn't save people. He collects them. And when they don't fit the narrative he's created, when they become complicated and real instead of perfect victims to rescue, he discards them. Why are you telling me this? Catherine pulled something from her purse. A folder, worn at the edges. She handed it to Sophia. Because I don't want you to end up like me. Open it. Inside were photographs. James with Catherine, both smiling. James at a funeral, face shattered with grief. And then, documents. Police reports about Elena's death. Medical records showing a history of mental health treatment. And finally, a letter. Elena's handwriting. Sophia's hands trembled as she read. James, I love you, but you can't save me from myself. Please stop trying. Please let me go. I need to find my own way, even if it means falling. Forgive me. Forgive yourself. Love, Elena. The letter was dated 3 days before her death. She asked him to let her go, Catherine said softly. He couldn't. And when she died anyway, he blamed Marcus instead of accepting that some people can't be saved. Sophia's world tilted. What do you want from me? I want you to understand what you're getting into. James will protect you from Trevor. He'll make you feel safe, seen, valued. And then one day, you'll make a mistake. You'll be human. You'll need something he can't give. And he'll realize you're not the victim he thought you were. You're just a person. Flawed, complicated, real. And then what? Then you'll be me. Divorced, discarded, and blamed for not being grateful enough for being saved. Catherine started the car again. They drove in silence back to Riverside. When they pulled up, she touched Sophia's arm. I'm not the villain in his story. Neither is Marcus. And neither are you. Her eyes were sad. But James needs villains to fight. Because if he doesn't have them, he has to face the fact that sometimes, there's no one to blame. Sometimes, tragedy is just tragedy. Sophia got out. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets slick and reflecting. Why did you really come tonight? Catherine smiled, and it was genuinely sad. Because James called me. He wanted to know if I thought you were using him. And I realized he's about to do it again. Build you up as a victim, and then tear you down when you don't stay broken. The window rolled up. The car disappeared into the night. Sophia stood there, the folder heavy in her hands. Behind her, the restaurant door opened. James stepped out. "I've been looking for you." She turned slowly. In the streetlight, he looked younger, vulnerable. But Catherine's words echoed in her mind. He collects them. And when they become complicated and real, he discards them. "Who was that?" James asked. "Catherine." His face went very still. "What did she tell you?" "The truth. About Elena. About Marcus. About you. And you believe her?" His voice was careful, controlled. "I don't know what to believe anymore." Sophia held up the folder. "She showed me Elena's letter. The one where she asked you to let her go." James's face crumbled. For a moment, he looked like a man drowning. Elena was sick. She wasn't thinking clearly. Or maybe she knew exactly what she needed. And you couldn't give it to her. That's not fair. Isn't it? Sophia stepped closer. "Tell me the truth, James. All of it. Did Marcus kill Elena? Or did you destroy him because you needed someone to blame?" The silence stretched between them like a chasm. Finally, James spoke, and his voice was broken. "I don't know." The words hung in the air like smoke. "I don't know if he killed her. I don't know if she fell. I don't know if she jumped." His hands shook. "But I couldn't live with not knowing. So I made him guilty. Because if he wasn't guilty, then maybe I was. For not seeing. For not saving her. For being the brother who failed." Sophia's anger drained away, replaced by something more complicated. Pity. Understanding. Fear. "And me?" she asked quietly. "Am I another penance? Another chance to get it right?" James looked at her, and his eyes were raw. "I thought so. At first." He took a breath. "But then you became real to me. Not a victim. Not a project. Just you. And that terrifies me." "Why?" "Because I don't know how to care about someone without trying to save them. I don't know how to love without making it about my guilt." The word hung between them. Love. James. "I'm broken, Sophia." Catherine was right about that. "I collect broken people because I can't fix myself." He stepped closer. "But you're not broken. You're just healing. And I don't know if I can be what you need." Before she could respond, headlights flooded the street. A car screeched to a stop. Trevor stepped out, and this time, he wasn't alone. 2 men flanked him. Large, threatening, deliberate. "Told you I'd be back," Trevor called. His smile was vicious. "And this time, your boyfriend can't hide behind his money." James moved in front of Sophia instantly. Protective. Instinctive. "You brought muscle to a conversation?" James's voice was steady. "That's desperate, even for you. This isn't a conversation." Trevor's smile was all edges. "This is a lesson. About what happens when people take what's mine." "She was never yours," James said. "Neither was Elena," Trevor shot back. The world stopped. Sophia's blood turned to ice. "What did you just say?" Trevor's grin widened. "You didn't tell her?" "How interesting." James went rigid. "Don't." "Why not?" "She deserves to know who she's defending." Trevor stepped forward, and his men moved with him like shadows. James and Marcus weren't just business partners. They were competing for the same woman. Elena. "Shut your mouth," James said, and for the first time, his voice shook. Elena chose Marcus. Married him. And James never forgave either of them for it. Trevor's eyes glittered with malice. So when she died, he saw his chance. Blamed Marcus, destroyed him, and rewrote history so he was the grieving brother instead of the rejected lover. Sophia looked at James. Is that true? It's not that simple. Did you love her? The pause was answer enough. I did. Once. Before she was with Marcus. James's voice was hollow. But she was my sister in every way that mattered. Blood or not. And I failed her. You didn't fail her, Trevor said mockingly. You just wanted her for yourself and couldn't have her. So you made Marcus pay for winning. One of Trevor's men cracked his knuckles. The threat was clear. This is your last chance, Caldwell. Give me what I want, or things get ugly. What do you want? Sophia asked, her voice cutting through the tension. Trevor's eyes swung to her. You. Back home. Where you belong. Never. Then I'll take what I can get. Trevor nodded to his men. Starting with him. They moved fast. But James moved faster. The first punch connected with James's jaw. He staggered but didn't fall. The second man grabbed him from behind. Stop! Sophia screamed. Trevor caught her arm as she tried to run forward. His grip was iron. Watch, he hissed in her ear. Watch what happens to men who think they can protect you. James fought back. Hard. But 2 against 1, and he was losing. Blood streamed from his nose. His eye was swelling shut. Stop it. Please. Sophia struggled against Trevor's grip. Then James went down. One of the men kicked him in the ribs. Once. Twice. Something inside Sophia shattered. Not broke. Ignited. She drove her elbow back into Trevor's stomach. He gasped, grip loosening. She spun, grabbed the folder from where it had fallen, and threw it open. Everyone stop. Trevor's men hesitated. James lay on the ground, breathing hard. Sophia held up the papers. Elena's medical records. Police reports. Everything Catherine had given her. This folder has everything. Elena's depression. Her suicide attempts. The truth about her death. Sophia's voice shook but held firm. I'll give it to you, Trevor. All of it. Every piece of evidence that exonerates Marcus, every document that proves James destroyed an innocent man. Sophia, no, James gasped. But you have to let him go. And you have to leave. Both of us. Forever. Trevor stared at her. Then at the folder. She could see the calculation in his eyes. The power this information would give him over James. Deal, he said finally. No. James tried to stand. Don't do this. Sophia walked to Trevor, held out the folder. As his fingers closed around it, she leaned close. If you ever come near either of us again, I'll tell everyone the real reason you want this. Her voice dropped to a whisper. That you and Marcus were partners. That you're the one who convinced James that Marcus killed Elena. Because you needed Marcus out of the way for your own business deals. Trevor's face went white. You're bluffing. Am I? Catherine told me everything. About the partnership. About how you manipulated James's grief for profit. Sophia's smile was cold. Take the folder. Take your leverage. But if you use it, I'll destroy you the same way you've destroyed everyone else. Trevor's jaw worked. Then he stepped back. You're not worth it, he said finally. But his voice lacked conviction. He nodded to his men. They released James, backed away. Trevor got in his car, and the 3 of them drove into the night. Sophia ran to James. He was struggling to sit up, blood staining his shirt. You shouldn't have done that, he said. I just gave away your sister's private medical records to your worst enemy. I know. He looked up at her, and despite the pain, he smiled. Why? Because you were right earlier. About being broken. About not knowing how to love without guilt. She helped him to his feet, and he leaned heavily on her. But I'm broken too. And maybe broken people can't fix each other. But maybe we can just be broken together. Without trying to save anyone. James cupped her face with a bloody hand. He'll use those documents. Let him. The truth is going to come out anyway. At least this way, we choose how. She leaned into his touch. Besides, I lied. About what? The folder Catherine gave me was copies. I have the originals hidden. Sophia's smile was small but real. I learned from the best. Trevor taught me how to survive. You taught me how to fight back. Catherine taught me how to play the long game. James laughed, then winced, clutching his ribs. You're terrifying. I know. I love you. The words hung between them. Not as penance. Not as salvation. Just truth. I don't know if I can say it back yet, Sophia admitted. I don't know if I trust it. Or you. Or myself. That's okay. But I want to try. To trust. To heal. To figure out who I am when I'm not running or hiding or fighting. She took his hand. With you. If you'll let me. James pulled her close, pressed his forehead to hers. I don't know how to do this. How to be with someone without trying to save them. Then we'll figure it out together. Messily. Imperfectly. Honestly. What about Trevor? He'll come back. Maybe. But next time, we'll be ready. Both of us. Sophia smiled. And if Catherine was right, if we're both just broken people trying to pretend we're whole, then at least we'll be broken together. That's not much of a happy ending. No, Sophia agreed. But it's real. And right now, real is enough. They stood there in the empty street, holding each other up. Both wounded. Both scarred. Both finally, tentatively, free. In the distance, sirens wailed. Someone had called the police. The world would keep turning. Trevor would plot. Catherine would watch. The past would haunt them. But for now, in this moment, they had each other. Imperfect, complicated, and true. And that was enough. 6 months later, Sophia stood in the office that used to be James's alone. Now it was theirs. Partnership papers sat on the desk. She'd bought into the restaurant with money from her grandmother's inheritance. James came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. His ribs had healed. So had most of his heart. Ready for the grand reopening? Terrified. Good. Me too. They'd renamed it. Not Riverside. Something new. Something that belonged to both of them. Through the window, Sophia could see the line forming outside. Press. Investors. And yes, Trevor, standing across the street with his phone out. Watching. Waiting. But he didn't scare her anymore. He's out there, she said. I know. What do we do? James turned her around, looked into her eyes. We live. We build. We become something he can never touch. And if he tries? Then we fight. Together. Sophia kissed him. Soft, sure, real. Outside, the city hummed with life. Inside, two broken people chose each other. Again. And again. And again. Not because either of them was saved. But because both of them were finally, truly, free. The end.